බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්. බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්.
On satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Tonight, first at 9, neighbor talks. India to keep a close eye on Hambantota port deal. China says only a measure to bail out. Also making headlines tonight, a new government. President Maithripala Sirisena says the dreams of forming a new government will not realize. Attack on police. IGP Pujitha Jayasundara says Jaffna attack suspect had direct links to the LTTE. Bond inquiry. Witness reveals threats from former Governor Arjuna Mahendran over EPF appointment. Making headlines in news overseas, US sanctions. Russian President Vladimir Putin retaliates to fresh US sanctions, ordering cull of diplomatic staff. Good evening. We begin tonight, first at 9, with a new outlook and a fresh pulse, adding novelty to the way we tell your story. I'm Indivari Amuatta, and another milestone has been reached. Over the years, Other Derana has brought to you, our viewers, the best in the sphere of current affairs and the world of news. It has been 3 years since we took it a step further by redefining broadcast news in Sri Lanka and becoming the first ever 24-hour television news channel in the country with the launch of Other Derana 24/7.
Other Derana 24/7, which began with airing 3 Sinhala primetime news bulletins from morning to night, celebrates its 3rd anniversary this year by becoming a bilingual channel with our English primetime news at 9 p.m. 7 days a week.
We are live across Sri Lanka.
This is your primetime news. Walking through the Colombo Open Air time,
Sri Lanka is privileged.
Workers' Day.
JVP May rally started.
You can see behind me the new runaway of the Katuna.
We strive to be the eyes and ears of the public by bringing you unbiased reporting and the truth as it is in the world of politics, business, social issues, sports and international news. Integrity is our trait. Other Derana 24/7 will continue to be the epitome of exemplary reporting throughout the day, 365 days a year, bringing to you live coverage of incidents that affect Sri Lanka and the world as and when they happen.
On to top stories here at home. India says it will keep a close eye on the developments taking place at the Hambantota port with the signing of the latest agreement to lease the over 15,000-acre area for a 99-year period. However, a Chinese political analyst pointed out that the $1.12 billion investment is a way to bail out the struggling southern harbour. The exchange of words between former Secretary of the Indian External External Affairs Ministry K.C. Singh, Chinese political analyst Aina Tanjun and parliamentarian Nama Rajapaksa was aired on a live interview on Al Jazeera News Network's Inside Story program, taking into discussion new developments on Sri Lanka's port project.
China is not Father Christmas handing out dollar bills. They want return on their money and they want the money within a certain certified period. Of course, this is a brainchild of President Rajapaksa's government. India was very concerned then. The present government has balanced that by giving India more access to a port called Trincomalee, where there are 99 tanks. Companies were earlier handling 15, and we are getting access to 74 more. Other thing they've done is they've said that one of the conditions is that no Chinese naval vessel will come to Hambantota without the permission of the government. At least to some extent should satisfy government of India. But naturally India would keep a wary eye on it because it's a 99-year lease.
At this point, China is saying, look, this didn't work out the way it was supposed to. You know, there's 36,000 ships that pass this port every year. And since 2015, only 44 have made it into this port. The port was obviously made to be an important center for bunkering and for industry and trade. But I think it's been used as a political football within Sri Lanka in terms of local politics.
This port was constructed 4 years ago. It was developing at a reasonable pace. And for the people of Sri Lanka, the concern is not about the investment coming in. The Sri Lankan government should have negotiated a better deal for Sri Lanka.
For them to come in and first invest, and then when they're not getting a return, turn that into a permanent footprint is a bit ironical. It's what the Western powers did in Hong Kong and Macau. So the Chinese are doing a similar kind of thing. Is it a model then for future expansion of Chinese strategic footprint? When people can't return the money, countries can't return the money, then you grab territory. So that would be something that India would be concerned about, and I'm sure it'll be raised in Colombo.
This thing has been kind of a dead duck. It's been bleeding, hemorrhaging dollars, which are being picked up by the taxpayers of Sri Lanka. It's now time to put it on a business footing. Now, the money that's going into it, obviously, is going to be Chinese. So the Chinese are stepping up to the plate. They put the initial money in, and now they're bailing out the local government. I don't think that you can fault China for stepping up and saying we want to put an additional $1.2 billion into this and try to make this actually viable. Now, if it fails, it'll be China's failure and it'll be China's losses.
Meanwhile, Minister of Megapolis and Western Development Patli Champika Ranawaka warns that Sri Lanka must tread carefully amid rising geopolitical trends and uphold a non-aligned policy. The minister added that the Hambantota port would not have struggled if it had been developed gradually. He was addressing media during a visit to Kandy, where he called upon the chief prelates of the Askiriya and Malwatu chapters.
I was the one who suggested including the concept of Sri Lanka as a naval hub in former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's manifesto. However, our idea was to develop the Hambantota port slowly and gradually. A major problem arose when a massive port was suddenly constructed and had to be maintained. At present, no matter what anyone says, there is a conflict between international powers in the Indian Ocean. China, as a rising power, is a challenge to the US. Various political alliances have emerged, with the US, China, India, Japan and Saudi Arabia rising as one bloc, with China, Russia, Pakistan and Iran grouping as another. We must deal very carefully with these issues. Our location must be used geo-economically, not politically. We must remain non-aligned without allying with any of these blocs. Otherwise, we will face a massive political crisis.
The former president also made remarks over the Hambantota port deal at an event held in Boralaskamu this morning.
It is very clear this is only the beginning. A police officer succumbed to his injuries while trying to save the life of a judge. Now 2 police officers have been attacked. This will continue and it will be the beginning of terrorism. I feel sad, don't I? One wish of the people of Hambantota is to have a port. There were other alternatives to pursue without selling it. I will definitely discuss its implementation. It will be difficult to retake it after it was sold. It is easy to sell, but difficult to construct. We are taking legal advice, and as far as I know, the way of the transaction was done is against the constitution. Yes, the government has no issue as long as they receive money. Many more, including Sri Lankan Airlines, will be revealed in the future. It should be broad for the government too. We will support motions against the government at any time.
Inspector General of Police Pujita Jayasundara says the main suspect in the attack on police in Kopai, Jaffna, was identified as a member of the Awa gang and a former LTT cadre. The IGP, addressing media after a visit to Jaffna today, added that a special search operation will continue until all suspects responsible for the attack are arrested.
We have now identified leading person who was leading this team. He was a ex-LTT and Abakali member, and other 6 fellows have been already identified with the assistance of the task force. And if we need, we are going to get Sri Lanka Army, Navy and Air Force assistance as well to get this area under proper control. The coming trend is not so favorable for the general public, and the incidents happen one by one. We have to have a proper control over the situation and over the area until we arrest all responsible wrongdoers. This special.
The IGP also stressed that the recent attack on Jaffna High Court Judge M. Ilanchelian has so far been identified as a random incident. He also added that measures will be taken to prevent similar occurrences.
There are several versions. Honorable High Court Judge says one thing, the public says one thing. But the only thing is this has to be inquired. Still the inquiry is in progress. At a glance, of course, we say if it's a target, we could have shot him. In time to come, of course, we can come to a conclusion whether it's a specific targeting of the High Court Judge or it's an unexpected situation. So far, it's not a planned one. But we are trying our best to stop similar incidents in the future and ensure the security.
President Maithripala Sirisena says it is impossible to form a new government without his blessings. The president made this remark today in response to recent claims by an opposition parliamentarian.
The newly built Zonal Education Office in Hinguragoda was declared open this morning by President Maithripala Sirisena. The president also launched the official website of the Zonal Education Office. 4.5 million rupees have been spent on the building by the North Central Provincial Council.
An opposition MP recently gave an interview in a national newspaper saying that the party only needs 113 seats to end both the government and the president. Even if they are able to make it to 113 seats, they should come to me. That is what the Constitution says. In order to change the government, they need my help. A certain class in the country needs this change. A UN secretary who I met last week said, the voices heard in this country are not of those who work. Intellectuals are not being represented by the media. Only a minority of the country's population misunderstands the government.
Meanwhile, the primary medical care unit of Meegaswewa in Madirigiriya was also declared open by President Maithripala Sirisena this morning. After unveiling the commemorative plaque, the president also registered the first patient who arrived for treatment. Nearly 3,000 families in Meegaswewa, Wadigawewa, Pathukwewa, Senaratpura, Kumudupura and Mailagas Handia have been provided with health facilities through this medical care unit, which cost almost 11 million rupees.
A progress review meeting on the controversial Uma Oya project was conducted today. Coming up next is that story on the other side of this break. A progress review meeting regarding the Uma Oya multipurpose development project was held at the Badulla District Secretariat today. Observations Subcommittee member for Uma Oya project, State Minister Mahinda Amaravira, presided over the meeting. Following the meeting, Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that further steps regarding the project will be taken with the visit of Norwegian specialist and his final report on the committee. He also said that the government might take a decision if the specialist opines that this project is not beneficial to the country. It's time now to take a look at other stories making news from across Sri Lanka.
Major General Kumudu Perera has been appointed as the new commander of the security forces in Vanni. His appointment follows former Commander Major General Ruwan Kuluthunga taking over as Commandant of the Staff Training Institute. Upon the assumption of his duties, Major General Perera stated that he will be committed to ensure the security of Vanni and the North. A decision has been made to limit the number of tourists entering the Wilpattu National Park from tomorrow, the 1st of August. The decision was made due to the prevailing drought conditions. Tourists will only be allowed between 6 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. The Colombo Additional Magistrates Court has ordered 16 Ceylon Petroleum Corporation workers to be arrested. The order followed after the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation workers who had engaged in protest failed to appear before courts.
That former central bank governor Arjuna Mahendran must accept full responsibility for the appointment of Saman Kumara to the front office of the EPF. He made the remark at the Commission of Inquiry investigating central bank bond issuances today, following allegations of the EPF incurring losses through transactions in the secondary market. Senior manager of EPF Saman Kumara was interdicted on the 11th of July.
Appearing before the Commission of Inquiry, former Superintendent of the Employees Provident Fund, RAA Jayalath, revealed that two senior officials considered the most experienced in investment decision-making were transferred on the 2nd of April 2015. Despite opposition from senior officials, Saman Kumara was then transferred to the Employees Provident Fund in July 2015. Jayalath said Saman Kumara had worked for the EPF before and had a negative reputation due to his stock market dealings. Jayalath went on to say that he appointed Saman Kumara as the chief of the EPF's risk management department to analyze his behavior in the field. When cross-examined, Jayalath said that on the day following the appointment, former Governor Arjuna Mahendran chastised him over the phone for employing Saman Kumara at the risk management department. The former superintendent then revealed that Mahendran ordered him to appoint Saman Kumara to the front office of the EPF. Jayalath said that because the two most experienced officials had already been transferred out of the EPF, he had to give Saman Kumara decision-making responsibility in bond transactions. Meanwhile, the former superintendent had submitted a report to Mahendran following an investigation into allegations on secondary market transactions in February 2016. Jayalath, however, revealed that Mahendran had not handed over the particular report to the Monetary Board.
In your business news segment tonight, Minister of Public Enterprise Development Kabir Hashim says that if inequalities in income and the country's economic growth are to be eliminated, it is necessary to move from the open market economy to a social market economy. He expressed these views at a media briefing at the UNP headquarters today.
Many people had criticism when we initiated the 77 revolution, and people are still criticizing it. Despite their criticism, no one has implemented a practical alternative social and economic program until now. Through the program we initiated in 1977, we were able to increase the production of rice 3- or 4-fold. We began programs to create more job opportunities. We also brought the apparel industry to rural areas. If there is an issue, we are ready to face it. We will move forward. We think the bond between the two major parties will remain intact. We don't want to join with the TNA. There is no issue of maintaining the majority. We want to preserve the concept of the unity government.
Well, in international business news tonight, Boeing announced today that it expects Indian Airlines to order up to 2,100 new aircraft worth $290 billion over the next 20 years, calling it the highest ever forecast for Asia's third largest economy. The world's biggest maker of jetliners said it expected passenger growth of about 8% in South Asia over the next 20 years, compared with a world average of about 4.7%. Boeing said it expected single planes such as the next generation 737 and 737 MAX to account for the bulk of the new deliveries, with India likely to make over 1,700 such aircraft. And oil prices hit a two-month high today, lifted by a tightening U.S. crude market and the threat of sanctions against OPEC member Venezuela. U.S. WTI futures were at $49.97 per barrel, up 0.5% from their last close, while Brent crude futures were at a two-month high of $52.85 per barrel, up 0.6%. Today's price rise put both crude benchmarks on track for a sixth consecutive session of gains. And at the Colombo Stock Exchange, equities closed the month on a negative note despite continuous foreign inflows for the month of July. With all details, here's Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Top 5 gainers of the day were Central Investments and Finance, Raigams Holtons, Mahaveli Ridge, Ceylon Leather Products and Millennium Housing Developers. While the top 5 losers were Amana Takaful, Singh Industries, Malan Phipps, Hunas Falls and Trade Finance and Investments.
Top stories in sports will follow after this break. Welcome back. Sri Lanka Light Infantry Para Powerlifters emerged champions of this year's Army Para Powerlifting Tournament held on Friday in Ragama. The Sri Lanka Light Infantry lifters beat 80 competitors from 7 regiments competing in 10 weight categories. Sri Lanka's Singha Regiment were runners-up, and Special Forces Centre Commandant Brigadier Harendra Ranasinghe awarded certificates and trophies to the winners. And Argentina's Leonardo Mayer won the German Open in Hamburg last night, beating home favourite Florian Mayer in 3 sets. Leonardo Mayer also won the trophy in 2014, but is ranked 138th in the world and had initially failed to qualify for the tournament before the withdrawal of an injured competitor allowed him a spot in the draw.
Argentine Leonardo Mayer had to beat top seed Albert Ramos Vinolas on his way to the final and came from behind to beat compatriot Federico Del Bonis in Saturday's semis. Mayer was able to win the first set against namesake Florian, but recovered from losing the second to take the match and the championship 6-4, 4-6, 6-3.
Football star Cristiano Ronaldo appeared in a Spanish court today accused of evading €14.7 million in tax. The Real Madrid and Portugal footballer, reported to be the world's highest paid athlete, is the latest in a string of footballers to be pursued by the Spanish tax authorities. Barcelona's Lionel Messi was found guilty of evading €4.1 million in tax last year and was sentenced to 21 months jail time, which the court ruled he could pay €252,000 instead of serving. Experts, however, suggest that Ronaldo could face a fine of at least €28 million and a prison sentence of 3.5 years. News overseas will follow after this break. In your headline-making international news, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that 755 employees must leave U.S. diplomatic missions in retaliation for new U.S. sanctions against Moscow. While Putin stated that he did not want to impose more measures, he also added that he could not see ties between Russia and the United States changing anytime soon.
While the decision to expel US diplomatic staff was made last Friday, Russian President Vladimir Putin has now confirmed the number who must leave by the 1st of September. International media report the number includes Russian employees of US diplomatic missions across Russia. The US said the move was a regrettable and uncalled for act, stating that they are assessing its impact and how to respond. Meanwhile, Germany called for countermeasures against US sanctions on Russia, saying the sanctions could harm European firms and violate international law.
Thank you, Indivari. Now, starting off with your temperatures tonight, we can expect variation between 29 and 34 degrees Celsius over the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, wind speeds may reach up to 30 to 40 kilometers per hour from west to southwest. Showers can be expected in several locations in the eastern and Uva provinces and districts of Mullaitivu and Vaunia. Meanwhile, wet weather may also extend over the western, central as well as Sabragamuwa and northwestern provinces. That is it from the Weather Centre, but let's now take a quick look at the city-by-city forecast.
That's all from your primetime news desk. Before we go, we'd like to take you to Katharagama, where the annual Asla Perahara of the Ruhunu Katharagama Mahadevalaya took to the streets. A large number of devotees gathered to watch the procession, which took place for a 7th consecutive night yesterday. Have a pleasant evening. Stay safe. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana, 24/7.